My client just bought 2 units with 1 down payment. Not a house, a duplex. 2 doors, 2 kitchens, 2 streams of possibility in Florida for $550,000 with 5% down. And then we ended up doing something on the interest rate that's gonna make some of you rewind this video. In a market where everybody is crying about interest rates, she locked in a 5.6%. Both of those things, the 5% down on a multifamily and the rate starting with a 5, happened on the same deal on purpose, and I'm going to show you exactly how we structured it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another deal of the week. If you are new here, my name is Ricardo Carrillo. I run RC Lending Advisors. We're a nationwide mortgage lending company that helps real estate investors all across the entire US get financing for both residential and commercial real estate. Whether you're buying your very first house or you're scaling your real estate portfolio, my team and I have helped countless of people do the same, and we can walk you through the entire process from A to Z. Now, the whole point of these videos is to show you the real deals with real numbers about real clients and exactly how the deals are structured so that you can understand what's actually possible when you're doing this the right way. So there's 2 strategies that are stacked inside of this deal, and each one of them is honestly worth its own video, but I'm gonna give you both here today. Strategy number 1 was that we did 5% down on a multifamily. For years, that rule was actually that if you wanted to buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, you needed a 15 to 20% down payment. And that rule kept so many people locked out of multifamily properties for a very long time. When that rule changed a couple of years ago, most people still had no idea. And even today, conventional financing now will allow for you to get in with as little as 5% down on multifamilies, so long as you plan to live in one of the units. Let me put the real numbers on what this means. This duplex was $550,000. 5% down is $27,500. And there's people right now who are putting $27,500 down on a car. They're putting it on a condo. They're putting it on a house that produces nothing for you. My client put that same money down and she got 2 full units. She's living in one, she's renting the other, and that helps carry the mortgage every single month. This is the strategy called house hacking, and it is the single most beginner-friendly wealth building strategy in all of real estate, because your tenant is literally subsidizing your housing payment while you build equity on the bigger asset. Strategy number 2 is the interest rate buy down. Now, the loan came in at $522,000, and instead of just accepting whatever the market interest rates were for that day, we actually used points to buy the interest rate down to a 5.6%. Points are considered prepaid interest. You pay more at the closing table, a little bit more. And on this deal, that buy down ended up costing 13 grand. In exchange, you get the interest rate. Therefore, your payment's gonna drop, and it drops for the entire life of the loan. So principal and interest came in at $3,000 a month. Run that with the same loan setup that most people are accepting right now, and that payment is gonna be jumping by hundreds of dollars a month, every single month for 30 years if she were to keep that loan. That is why people pay points. We just need to run the math at the end of the day to make sure that the points make sense for what you're going to be paying and what you're going to be getting. Now, the full picture, though, is every single number, just the same way that I always do it here for you guys. Purchase price was $550,000. Down payment was $27,000. Loan was $522K at a 5.6% for 30 years. Principal and interest was $3,000 a month, all included with taxes, insurance, flood insurance, as well as a slight amount of PMI. The true monthly payment came into almost $4,200 a month. Total closing costs, including points, came in at $39,000. But the detail that I really like here is that we also negotiated seller credits of almost 7 grand. And this actually helped soften the load of what my client was going to be paying for cash to close. So it actually brought total out of pocket on this deal to $58,000. Now, I want you to remember that the entire payment of building, this whole building was $58,000. Putting a tenant in the second unit, the real out-of-pocket cost is actually way below what the $4,000 mortgage payment would be, all while it would still be lower than if she was to go rent a single apartment with no equity. Now, I want to give you the honest math on the points because I don't like to hype any sort of strategy without showing you what the real numbers look like. Buying points is only going to make sense if you're going to keep the loan long enough to get your monthly savings back from what you paid up front. This is called a break-even point, and we do the math for our clients on these deals all the time because this is the way that I look at my own properties. If you're going to be structuring this where you're going to sell it in a couple years, maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. If you're selling or refinance in, let's say, 18 months, paying points might not make sense. You'd be basically lighting your money on fire. And I tell you that to your face because I've done this for my clients where I will say, no, it doesn't make sense to pay points, or yes, it does make sense to pay points. Points are purely a tool. They're not an actual rule. You're not forced to pay points. There's loans where you can pick rates with no points. It's all based off of the game plan. And this is the takeaway because it's going to be the most practical one. If you're going to buy a home anyway, and your market has duplexes, you at least owe it to yourself to figure out what your numbers are for a pre-approval on a multifamily and see if that's going to make sense for you before you actually commit. It's the same down payment at 5%, except that you live in one unit and you rent out the other units. Normally for my clients, I always suggest doing 4 different pre-approvals. We do one from a single family all the way up to duplex, triplex, and fourplex. That's why my client was able to turn this buying decision for her into an income stream. We locked a 5.6% interest rate in, and we did it all in one closing. Now, if you want to see what house hack numbers look like for you, or if you want to run this sort of analysis on points versus no points comparison with your specific deal, you can go to rclending.co. You can find me on Instagram at Richie the Lender. My team and I work with buyers all across the entire country who do this every single day. We'll walk you through this process from start to finish. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you haven't seen my other Deal of the Week videos, you can click either here or here to check out last week's. And make sure that you also like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next Deal of the Week.